I'm not supposed to be live. I hit the button. I guess I'm here now. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Noel, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And like I said, I hit the button by accident. And I'm not supposed to be live for another 20 minutes. So here I am, live and in color. It's supposed to be after 1 o'clock. Hey, Chloe, how are you? So it's like I was not prepared. I don't have my stand ready for the cell phone that's still plugged in, getting recharged. Um, so it's like, well, doggone it, man. So y'all have to bear with me while I set things up. Like, hang on, this is going to be noisy for a minute. I'm trying to hook my cell phone up to the stand to hold the cell phone. So, good morning, everybody. Hey, Steve, how are you? It seems like have finally made it to here, and seriously, I got caught off guard. I'm not supposed to be live for another 20 minutes. Ow. Ooh, ow. So I'm trying to get things settled because I wasn't settled. I was not ready at all. So please forgive me. So this ought to work temporarily. But so anywho, as is wont and as is apt for me to do, to be crazy. I hit the button by accident, so the last 3 minutes has been, trying to get orientated with the cell phone. So again, my apologies. So I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I do continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And this cell phone's fixing to slide off of there if I don't do something. You have to be observant, my friends. You have to be observant. So, in this discussion and talk tonight, this morning, as it is, yeah, it's this morning, almost. By my clock, I still got 5 minutes. Yep. So, started off with a 20 just because the the mirror of self, the topic for discussion. As I was walking into the eye doctor's 2 weeks ago, maybe three, to have my eyeballs checked after my surgery, which so far seems to be going okay. I have a little issue with focusing my eyeballs after my um, my surgery for the to get rid of the cataracts. So, and then going through all of these operations and things and being put under and all, my brain gets to thinking about stuff. Well, walking into the the eyeglass doctor place, the whole front of the building is done with glass, but yeah, frogs up. Who is that? Is that that's Scotty boy? Hey, brother. So as I get out of the jeep and pet Duggar and walking in, and the front of the building is mirrored glass. I mean, you can't see in, so but you can see everything outside really good. So I'm walking towards the building, and I look up and I notice, who is that person that I see in that mirrored glass on the front of my eye doctor's building, you know? And so as I'm walking up there, I realize I'm not walking, I'm waddling. I got my cane and I'm hunched over and I'm doing this thing. And I look and I go, oh, shit, that's me. I looked like somebody else. I mean, seeing the figure, the hunched over, the cane, the whole thing, and of course with my beard and my long hair is kind of not part of the deal at times. But that wait a minute, I have become that old hunched over man that I swore I would not become, right? So the mirror of self is being able to look at yourself and honestly, and going, oh man, got because I could have went, yeah, there's me going in, and yeah, but no, what hit me was, oh no, I have become what in my head I did not want to become. I didn't want to become that old man slouched over, and I wanted to be able to walk straight as long as I could, and I wanted to have a good, pep in my step kind of thing, and I wanted to, I didn't want to look old and decrepit like I did, you know. So, in looking at myself in the mirror of the eye doctor, that was actually, it mirrored something inside my soul. It mirrored a part of me. And so, and coming home, I was like, went to the bathroom and doing some things. And I do not spend much time in front of a mirror. I just don't. And so it's like when I got home, I stopped and took time in front of the mirror here in the bathroom. And you say, well, what'd you do that for, Dave? Because it's like what I realized be, years ago, I used to spend time in front of the mirror and sort of to do scrying kind of thing, right? And crying, you know, but scrying, like look into the mirror and see if you can see beyond, to see the internal, to see, something else, to meditate, to focus, and some interesting things has happened when I have done that in the past. So I'm thinking to myself, self, um, we haven't done that in a long time, you know. Well, I haven't felt the need to do that kind of scrying, right? So personally or otherwise, I just haven't seen the purpose. So, but it's like, well, wait a minute, Dave, Hawkeye. Maybe, maybe you don't spend any time in front of the mirror because you're scared and you're chicken. Which I had to immediately go, yep, you're right. I didn't even have to hesitate on that one, right? So looking in the mirror brings up like have so why ain't you looking at yourself in the mirror? Well, for several reasons. I ain't very cute, right? And I don't have much reason to. I shave a little here and a little here and up here, and I pluck a few eyebrows. I trim a little here around my ears, and that's that. I don't have any teeth to brush. So I will brush my tongue though. I will do my inhaler and then rinse my mouth out with, um, mint flavored, mouthwash. And so, but as far as spend time and grooming, no grooming here, right? So, but I had to stop and look in the mirror the other day and go, just, you got to hang out here a minute. Why? Well, because have you looked at yourself lately? Well, no, hell no. No, hell no. I haven't looked at myself lately. You know, otherwise, this might not be as long as it is, and some other things, right? So I'm like, no, why should I look in the mirror? But because if you look in the mirror correctly, then you will look inside yourself. Now you say, well, Dave, well, why? What's the mirror got to do with all of this? Here's the thing. I had a girlfriend many, many, many moons ago, and she was a pretty woman. Okay. She didn't need a bunch of makeup. And having been a director and worked in theater and so forth, and with, um, doing makeup for people, it's like you just need a little dusting, you need a little eyeliner, and you need a little, that's all you need. Maybe a little lipstick to bring, your lips out a little bit, but you don't need all this stuff and cream and things and stuff. And so she would literally spend maybe sometimes up to 2 hours in front of the mirror doing her hair and doing this and combing it this way and making up like this and doing her eyebrows this way and looking in the mirror. And then she'd do this and thing and whatever. And then she'd do some more. And then she didn't like it. She'd wipe her face off and then she'd do. And so 2 hours later, she'd walk out and she'd have so much makeup on. It was like caked on, right? So I asked her, why do you don't need makeup? You're a beautiful woman the way you are. Just take it from, no, I'm not pretty enough. I have to put this stuff on. So in looking in the mirror, she could not see the beauty in herself. 2 hours of looking in the mirror and putting on makeup and stuff and doing her hair. 2 hours later, she was barely satisfied with how she looked. Spent all that time, spent all that energy and makeup, which was minimal, but to the point though. She's doing the eyeliner thing and she's doing the eyebrow thing and she's doing all these things, right? And I would literally sit here in this chair and look in there in the bathroom and just shake my head, and go, what are you doing? You know, we're going to Walmart. Well, I can't go out unless I have my face on. So that is one thing. But in that explanation of, she couldn't go anywhere without putting her face on. But I realized that, walking up to the building that day, that she also, was looking at her soul. She couldn't find her soul in the mirror. She couldn't find herself in the mirror. And herself was a painted picture of the original that was standing in front of the mirror. So she had to alter the change of the original to fit what she perceived in her mind was what she was supposed to look like. And you go, Dave, but what's all this mean? Because people are standing in front of the mirror and they comb their hair and they blow and they do and they put on the this. Why are they doing such? Yeah, they want to look nice and on their way out, but there's so many people who, women mostly, because they're the ones that do most of the makeup, but that they're perfectly lovely with just a little eyeliner and eyebrow stuff and some lipstick, and they look fine. But no, these women have to stand in front of the mirror and work on it. Why? Because they can't, their face in their brain isn't complete until the makeup's put on. I can't go out like this. Why not? Well, because, my brain says I don't look right. My brain says I'm not me. My brain says I'm looking in the mirror and goes, oh, I ain't done yet. I got to put some more stuff on. Well, so in life, in things, people need to look inside themselves to find out if they're happy or not, right? Well, when you're not happy, then you put on a shitload of makeup, especially the women, right? And not necessarily to hide, because that's what I thought for a long time. It's like, here's a pretty woman. Really, she was a lovely woman, putting on all this makeup, hiding herself from the rest of the world. And it's like, man, she just had to put it on because she was hiding. So, but just the other day, I had this aha moment that was like, no, she ain't. Because her brain has a picture of what she should look like. Her brain thinks it has come up with from wherever that she is supposed to look a particular way in the mirror. And she's not satisfied until she achieves said look in the mirror. Now, coincidentally, it hides her face because of putting on makeup. So there is that hiding factor. But it dawned on me that that's not what's going on. These folks are not hiding from themselves. They're not trying to hide their face from society or whatever. No, the picture of them isn't complete until they put on the makeup. They're not hiding. They're not satisfied because that's not me yet. Let me put on a little more eyeliner. Almost there. Put a little bit there. Now, see, I can talk like this because as a character actor for many years in the theater, you had to put on the makeup. You had to put your disguise or you had to put your face on, right? And so you'd sit in front of the mirror and you'd do a little touch up and you'd do a little this and you'd look in there because as you walk out on stage, you want to look like the character that is portrayed in the book, right? So he had this and it was that and it was lanky or whatever. And he had red hair, so you put on a wig. And he had, voluptuous eyebrows, so you do something to the eyebrows or. So you do these things to make yourself look like this character because you're supposed to. And you use all of the means necessary in order to help you make you look like Frankenstein or the creature from the Black Lagoon or whatever. So you're not hiding. So these women and men, Man standing in front and they're doing the manscaping thing and they're plucking nostril hairs and they're doing all this fine stuff and looking because they're not satisfied with the way they look. They have to keep going until they've plucked and pulled and pushed and combed and brushed and done until they look and go, yeah, okay. And they're done. They're not putting on makeup. Some of them do. I remember back in the day when I had some issues that I'd put a little base on, put it just a dash under my eyes because they were bloodshot as hell and dark and everything. So I'd put just a little bit of makeup underneath my eyes and a little bit of, a dash of blush when I didn't have a beard. And just to bring the highlight out in my cheeks, nobody ever knew I had makeup on because it was so slight. But anyway, I digress. Well, not really, because I'd look in the mirror and go, oh, shit, you look like hell, buddy. Let me see what I can do about this. And I'd put a little this on and then go, yeah, okay, I look a little better. Don't look so dead, because I'd been up and only had 4 hours sleep. So, but people who look in the mirror, so they're looking at their alter ego and you go, no, they ain't. Oh, yes, you are. No, I'm not. When I look in the mirror, I'm just looking at myself. It's your alter ego. Hawkeye, you're full of BS. What time is it? Oh, it's 12:12. Okay, keep me up because I'm ready. I'm packed. I'm ready. Packed for bear. So every time you look in the mirror, you are absolutely looking at your alter ego, and you go, Dave, come on now. That's just. But you see, in there, it's giving you a reflection of what you actually look like. But when you look in the mirror, your brain sees what it wants to see. Your brain is perceiving what you're looking at in the mirror. You're perceiving this. But it's me in the mirror. Well, yeah. But your brain is looking at all the lines and things and stuff and all the digital lines of code and trying to understand where you are in the matrix kind of thing. What the hell are you talking about? I expect that I look a particular way. I look in the mirror and go, who's that some bitch? That ain't me, long hair and a beard. Well, yeah, I know I got long hair and I know my beard's been growing, but then I look in the mirror and go, oh my God, that my beard's getting really long. And my hair and old age just set in my face. And well, I'm 72 and a half, but when I look at myself in the mirror, my brain is looking at me in my brain now as a younger me, as a 35 or 40-year-old me. So my brain has a picture of a 40-year-old me, and I look at the mirror and go, who in the hell is that? Because my brain is remembering my 40-year-old self, right? So it's my alter ego. You say, well, is it really your ego? Yeah, it is my ego because my ego is caught in the mirror. My ego is trapped in the mirror, if you will. Hawkeye, that's craziness. Keep up. Because my brain, that keep up, because my brain sees me in my head, the picture I got when I look in the mirror is going to be of me at 40. And then I look at me in the mirror at 72 and a half and go, oh, who the fudge is that? Where did that guy come from? He resembles me at 40 years old, but that ain't me. Well, yeah, it is. So what is that you keep putting up, Scotty boy? I keep looking at the link. What are you cheating on? What are you putting up? So just a joke? Okay. It better be. So, but looking in the mirror, so our perception of what we're supposed to look like, because it's the impression our brain has of us. The last time we looked at ourselves in the mirror is what our brain remembers us to look like, what we're supposed to look like, not actually what we actually look like. So I look in the mirror and go, son, bitch, man, I'm a mess, And then, but then there are times, not lately, when I was doing theater, I had to go out in public a lot or whatever and had to look good. I'd have to go in and make sure that, I had shaved right and that I didn't miss any spots, and my face was smooth and I had some smelly good on and my underarms were good and, had to do all that thing. And I'm looking in the mirror. So I am creating the day that has to go out in public. I used to create my persona to go to work every day, right? I had to put on my shirt, I had to put my pocket protector in, I had to make sure I had all my different ink pens and pencils and stuff. And so I had to create this persona. Shave, I'm standing in front of the mirror and I'm doing the thing and and getting ready brushing teeth. Back then I had teeth. Um, and so, but then I created this persona of Mr. Dave, the engineer, and I went to work. And the hour it took to get to work, I went into character, and then it took me an hour on the way home to get out of character, right? So you could argue up and down on the but it was you, Dave. I know it was me. I know it was my shirts and my pants and my pocket protector, but it wasn't me because I had to make sure that my persona as an engineer was upright and straight, and I spoke well and careful on how I, messed around or what kind of jokes I might tell or something like that. So it's like, okay, Dave, and you know, you are yourself, but you're not because you have to keep yourself in check, right? So you look in the mirror and you go, well, there's my alter ego. No, it ain't. Yes, it is. And why do you use the word ego, Dave? Well, because alter ego has just been around for a long time, but it is your ego. How do you figure? Well, because your brain, which is part of your ego, oh, it's a 20. Your brain, which is part of an ego, part of your ego, not being overly egotistical, mind you, but ego enough to be able to, have faith in yourself and be strong minded and to be a good, engineer. Got to have some ego that you tag along with you. You got to be positive. You got to be strong. You got to know, and you got to put that out, right? So, without being egotistical, you have to show your ego is strong, and I'm smart and I know what I'm talking about and I'm here to help you, which was the persona that I had to portray, right? So, but standing in front of the mirror, I had to make sure when I saw myself, I was shaved correctly. I had my shirt on. Sometimes I had to wear a tie. I had pocket protector, get myself ready to go in to be that engineer. But I created that persona with the use of the mirror. So, because I use the mirror to create the persona, I am therefore, it's my alter ego. It's the part of me, and it's shared with the mirror. What the fudge are you talking about, Hawkeye? But you see, the mirror is also the mirror to the soul, it's the mirror to the self, it's the mirror to the true you, not the contrived what your brain thinks you are supposed to look like. And you said, well, I look in the mirror and I look exactly like I'm supposed to. That's because your brain is trained to look at it that way. Now, this lady friend of mine, I wished we could have made it work, but it didn't. So, but this lady friend of mine, the picture of her face in her head, in her mind's eye, did not match what was in that mirror. And she didn't leave that mirror until the face she saw in the mirror was the same face she had in her head, in her alter ego state, in her brain, in her ego said, "You do not look right until you look like the picture in your head. Until the picture matches in your head to the one in the mirror, you ain't good to go." Thank you. Do you understand what I'm talking about? A lot of folks, thanks, Scotty Boy. A lot of folks talk about the mirror to the soul kind of thing. Well, but a mirror, if you look at it correctly, really truly is a mirror to your soul. Okay, Hawkeye, how do you get that? It's because your brain perceives what it wants, what it's, your brain perceives whatever it is that's supposed to stare back at you from the mirror. Okay. I put on makeup, I put on, bass. I'm getting ready to go on stage as a character. Then I need to highlight, some old age lines, and I need to put in some crow's feet here and some crow's feet over here and the edges of my eyebrows, and I powder myself up, and I do the same thing down here around my lips, and to give myself that old look, and so I need a little bit more here, and I touch it a little bit up here, and I put in lines across the forehead, and they're a little bit too dark, so I have to smudge them out, using some base or some powder. And then you take some powder and you dust your whole face to kind of hold it on, you know. And so, but all this time you're looking in the mirror, you're creating this character to go on stage. So staring at the mirror and putting on my face to go to work every day, except for the makeup, it's the same thing. Got to make sure my hair's right. Got to make sure my noses hairs are plucked. Got to make sure, if I got a big zit somewhere that it gets popped and taken care of. Um, so okay. I got to make sure that I become the alter ego. What the fudge, Hawkeye? Because there is a transference that has to take place. My girlfriend had to match the picture in her brain of what she should look like, match it to up in the mirror, which is a reflection of herself. She had to match that before she was good to go, which means she has made the transference. She was no longer Elsie. She was now Elsie the cow. She was not fat. This is just a. So she was Elsie, looked fine in the mirror, but she couldn't go outside until she had painted her face in such a way that she looked like Elsie the cow. And now, because she looks the part, she becomes the part. I become the part. The part is that I'm the part that I'm doing is a short part, and I'm a drunkard. So I have to stagger in and say a couple of lines and burp, on command, and stagger around and do some things and go up to somebody and go, "How you doing, buddy?" you know. So I got to do this, right? That's my character. So I have to look the part. Well, I can look the part all day long, but then I have to act the part. So in looking at the mirror, I prepare myself. So I put on the makeup to become this drunk in the play. So as I'm doing it, I'm, and oh, well, I've been drunk all day long. And I start slurring my speech. I start getting into character, right? So I'm becoming the drunkard as I put on the makeup. So as I go to work every day, I have to make sure that my tie is straight and that I speak clearly and that I'm legible with you can hear me correctly and you can understand me and I my inflection of voice and so forth. I had to put all that into check and think about it and say, okay, now I got a meeting today and I got to go in and take a deep breath and you get everything and you grab a cup of coffee and you're on your way to work. So you say, well, but all of that is in preparation for who you become whenever you get to wherever you're going. If you go in the store, I realize that even going to the store, I'm still me, and they're not flip flops, but sort of. And I got my knee socks and I'm in my shorts, and I just don't care anymore. I mean, I'm not a slob, but I don't care. I'm wearing shorts, and I used to never wear shorts in public. So now I'm wearing shorts with knee socks, and uh, and I'm comfortable with it, right? And I'm comfortable. So I have become this. I don't have to look in the mirror much to become this person, which because I'm retired and I'm very. Star Wars was a documentary. Yeah, it was one of the documentaries done. Yes, and you should see the Death Star that's rolling around in our solar system that people think is Planet X, when actually it's a humongous uh, Death Star type vehicle. And it's very possible that giants are living in it because they were part here, and they wanted to come back and visit us. And but anyway, so yeah, very large, very large sphere with folks on the inside. I mean, like the size of Saturn kind of vehicle, at least the size of Earth. So, but anyway, back to the mirror thing. So, if you want to find out what's going on inside you, you want to find out what your psyche's thinking, then you do a little bit of mirror scrying about yourself, which can also teach you about the universe too, by the way. So, but what you have to do from the get go is you must be honest with yourself. You got to be so brutally honest, it hurts. You're so honest, it'll make you bleed. You got to be that honest. Well, Mr. No. Yes, sir. Are you telling the truth? Yes, sir. I swear as I am. Would you be willing to cut your hand with a sharp object to prove that you're not lying? Are you? Would you, yes, sir. Where's the razor knife? Do I have to cut my palm, or can I cut over here somewhere where it won't hurt as bad? But I sure. You want me to prove it by cutting myself? You want me to draw some blood? No problem. That's how honest I. That's how much I believe. Now you come up to somebody so honest engine. Is that really the truth? Are you being honest with yourself there, Hawkeye? Well, yes, sir, I am. Well, are you willing to prove it? Well, of course I can prove it. Well, here's a knife. If you cut yourself and put out some blood, then I will believe that you're being honest to yourself. Oh, now hold on now. Well, I didn't know I didn't think I come here to had get cut on and to have no kind of blood drawing sacrifice thing and some kind of concentration thing. No, hell no, no, hell no. Where's the exit? So someone like that is not going to be honest with themselves, let alone honest with me or somebody else, right? Or the universe. So when you become honest with yourself, honestly honest, I mean, I can't stress that enough. And the only way to get there is to look in the mirror. The only way to get there is to be able to have the conversation with your alter ego. Hawkeye, what is this alter? It's the person that your brain thinks you're supposed to look like. Your brain has an image. No, it don't. Yes, it does. No, it don't. Yes, it does. No, it don't. Yes, it does. Then why do you stand in front of the mirror for 2 hours before you go out? And because you have to do, and you got to primp and prop, and you got to do, and you got to. How come? Listen, I used to do it. Okay, so I can talk about this. I used to do it. I used to stand in front of the mirror for an hour and chuck and do and pluck and oh, there's a blackhead and oh, there's a oh, there's an ingrown hair. And I used to, oh man, just not anymore, you know. So the characters of my ego have changed. I'm retired. I don't have to look any particular way unless I go to town. I want to look decent, if I'm going to the doctor, I don't want to smell. I want to make sure that my clothes are clean and that kind of thing. So, um, you know, so I still want to act the part. I still want to be the clean guy that goes to town. I might look like a bum with my long hair and everything, but I want to have clean clothes. I want to smell decent, you know. I don't want a lot of perfume, but I don't want to stank, you know. So I have to put on this persona to go out and get in the Jeep and drive to town and to go get groceries. And I'm acting this part because I'm going out of the house. I'm not in my underwear sitting here watching Netflix and, and smoking a bowl. Not the same. I'm still Dave. I'm still Hawkeye. Yeah, but I got to put my drawers on and go to the store and go to the doctor and go take care of business. So I still have to become a different character. I have to get dressed. I have to, you know. So there's nothing wrong with it. But that is my alter ego. My my altered self. Alter ego, I understand that the ego part of it is what makes it my alter. It's like, wait, what did you just say? Yeah, I have to have enough ego in me to realize that looking at myself in the mirror and by putting on makeup, combing my hair, doing whatever it is I'm doing, whatever primping I'm doing in front of the mirror, is to support my alter self, my alter ego that has to go out and confront the world, you know? So it's not a bad thing. The alter ego thing. No, but if you're standing in front of that mirror for more than 15 minutes, you might need to have a conversation with who's in the mirror. And maybe subconsciously you're having a conversation with your alter in the mirror, which is a reflection of the the person that the brain thinks it sees. You're supposed to look like a tomato, but for some reason you're looking kind of like an eggplant today. Yeah, but I gotta look like a tomato. My character is a tomato, not an eggplant. Well, they said you're supposed to look like a vegetable. Yeah, but I've been a tomato for 3 days in a row now. I gotta look like a tomato today. But the best we can do is a red eggplant. you know. But where's a tomato? The best. You're like me. You look great from a distance. Yeah. Actually, I didn't look good from a distance when I went to the eye doctor. That's my point. I could see myself across the parking lot. It's beautiful glass, mirror. And I'm walking across and I look up and I go, son of a bitch. I'm like, oh, when you hear that phrase, he was taken aback. I was. I was taken aback. I was like, whoa, what the smudge? That's me. Oh, God Almighty. Stand up straight. Oh, God Almighty. Slouched over and oh man, and you can do better than that. And the way I was, oh geez whiz. So the reflection of the glass at the eye doctor was showing me the exact what I looked like walking into, the eye doctors. I mean, I was dressed nice and everything, had my cane, I had my cap on, but I looked like hell walking across that parking lot. So now, having seen that picture of me in the mirror at the eye doctors, since that time, since I saw my alter ego, it wasn't my. See, my brain was like, I still look like Dave at 40, and then I saw myself in that mirror and I was like, Some bitch, that's Dave at 72 and a half. Holy crap. Do I really want to look like that when I go to town? Do I really want to be hunched over and, and do I want to look like that? Number one, I shouldn't, because I should be standing up straight after my back surgery. I know better than that. I need to stand up, and I'm allowing myself to slouch because of the pain. And I got to not do that. I got to stand up straight. So all of these things are running through my head, which are all good. But somehow that slouched over guy with the cane in the mirror there on the glass at the eye doctor's has become me. But my brain still sees me. It still sees my alter ego as somebody who stands up straight, and it's like, so who is that cussed old man walking across the parking lot? That's you, Dave. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Oh, yeah, but the mirror don't lie. What? The mirrors don't lie. When you look at yourself in the mirror, that mirror is showing you exactly what you are, what you represent at the time. Now, that's not necessarily bad. I'm not saying any of this is like, but for the shaman way, the first thing you have to do is be brutally honest with yourself. And the second thing you need to do is to look in the mirror, being brutally honest with yourself. From this point forward, you make up your mind is like, for the shaman journey, which is simple. To start out, you're going to always tell the truth. Always, no matter what. No matter how bad it hurts. Now, you might withhold some truth if it involves other people and circumstances to keep them from being hurt or victimized or something. But for yourself, you don't lie. And withholding the truth is different, but it's not, but it is. So, but to lie, to repeat a falsehood to someone in order to change an outcome, in order to change a persona, in order to change their opinion or point of view. So that you must tell the truth at all costs. That's number one biggie rule. Honesty at all costs. Number two is to be able to look inside oneself, yourself, myself. We have to be able to look at things and with an intensity of almost to the point of being stupidly crazy. Because part of the shaman journey is to seek the answers. Well, if you don't really look very hard, then how are you going to find the answers? Well, I know this is an extreme, but it's so I wonder what it was like for them people to go down on the Titanic. That experience of standing on the deck and the freezing waters and the icebergs floating around and people screaming and I wonder what that experience is like. I wonder what that feels like. I wonder what you don't really want to experience that, you really don't. But there are things in life that you should push yourself to. Like I haven't been in my kayak in a while, like a year or more. I think more. So that's high on my list. The weather's been really crunky and funky, and the river's real low. It's like 2.5 feet. I can't remember the last time it was this low. So, but I got to get on the water. I have to go kayaking again. I have to go paddle because I have allowed myself to get out of that persona. So I looked in the mirror the other day and I'm like, there's Arkansas Jones in there. I see the adventurer still in there. So I don't see the crippled, hunched over guy that I saw walking into the doctor's office. I still see me as the adventurer. I still see me as Arkansas Jones, the guy in the canoe, the guy that goes paddling, the guy that goes trekking through the swamps, the guy that drags his dog with him. The time I almost killed my dog twice, who almost drowned me because he was sitting on the bank watching me go down the river. That kind of thing. So I look in the mirror and I go, that used to be me. What have I become? Well, I used to go paddling like once a month, despite how high the water was or how hot it was, because then I would just go paddling at night. When was the last time I went paddling at night? Years. And I used to go at least once a month, you know, to go out and go down to the beach area there, down at the river, and put in and go out and sit and look at the stars, and and float out there in the middle in the dark, and with just me and the water and the creator and the stars and the. When was the last time man, it's been a while. Been a while. But when I look at myself in the mirror, I go, but there's Arkansas Jones standing right there in the mirror. But as I feel myself standing there looking in the mirror, I'm hunched over, my knees are bent, I'm doing a little hunch thing, my back is killing me, and I've got this little, see how I just up and down right here? I got this going on, right? It's my little hunchy thing going on. And so I'm standing in front of the mirror and I got this hunchy thing going on. And I go, oh crap, stand up. See, that almost took me out of frame, right? Stand up straight, right? Okay, sit up straight, right? So sitting in this chair, I move to the edge of the chair a lot and sit straight up. If you're going to sit here, then sit up straight, and I mean straight. I don't mean straight with your back to the, nah, I mean sit up on the edge of the chair, straight up with your back straight up. And I've got my 10-pound weights down here that I've been exercising with. And so it's like, and I had gotten away from it for some dumb reason, right? And here's my dumb reason, because I haven't looked in the mirror lately. I have not had conversations with my alter ego. I've not looked in the mirror and said, dude, man, well, I was going to town the other day and I looked and I noticed I needed a shave. So it only took me like 2 minutes to dry shave and do a little cleanup and get the scissors and trim and I'm good. As good as it's gonna get, right? But so looking in the mirror, I see myself and my current situation, which I had to create because my brain had a picture of my alter ego. Dave, you can't go because you got nose hairs. Dave, you can't go because you need to shave right here. Dave, you can't go to the doctor's because you need to use some mouthwash and brush your tongue. And Dave, you can't do. So before you go, I have to become my alter ego. I have to do these things. I don't have to, but my brain wants to because that's the picture my brain has of me. That's what that's a picture. Here's a snapshot of me over here. That's what I look like right there. And I got to match what I see in that mirror, which means altering this. I got to match what's in that mirror to the picture that I have here, which just so happens to be the one that's in my brain. Now, we all do this. I have pondered this for a while. And it's like, well, this person don't do it. Yeah, they do. Well, there's a person over here that, yeah, they do. Well, I don't do it because I just put on my hat and coat and I go out. But by putting on your hat and coat, you're doing exactly what I'm talking about. You become, by putting on your hat and coat, this other, you don't feel right without your hat and coat. So that's what I mean. Well, I'm going to go out. Where's my hat and coat? What, you can't go out without it? Well, no, I feel naked if I don't put on my hat and coat. Well, that's because you're creating, not creating. No, no, that wrong. Scratch that. Well, in a way, yes. You have to recreate the picture of yourself. In other words, you look in the hall mirror and you don't look right unless you got your hat and your coat or cape or whatever and your top hat and cane, you don't look proper until you until you got that. It's still the same you, but it ain't you. You don't feel complete until you got the top hat and cane. So, but it's frivolous things, but that's what brings our characters out. Well, but I'm still David. No, I know. But when I put on my 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 deep woods hat and I put that scarf around my neck, you know, and I do a little wear this other shirt, for the woods. That's uh, like one of them army shirts from the old days, with the epaulets and everything, and the pockets, and and so now I've just become Arkansas Jones. You see, still David. No, I'm still Hawkeye, actually, but putting on a certain hat, putting on a certain thing, and doing a certain thing, and done it, and gathering, I have become Arkansas Jones because I'm dressing to go down in the swamp. I'm dressing to go get in the canoe or the kayak. I'm dressing for that part. Now I've become Arkansas Jones. And and when I get back, I strip Arkansas down and take my shower and get rid of any fleas or ticks or whatever might be on me. And then I transition back into Dave or Hawkeye here at the house, right? Or wherever the shower is. But to the point though, you know, every single one of us at some point every single day, even if it's just for a short period or a minute or two, we become that alter ego. We become that, it's us. And it's not that in a way, we're faking it, but it's not because it's what we have become it's our altar that goes out and talks to the rest of the world out here. And then your ego comes home to rest and sits down and smokes a bowl. I eat toast and peanut butter. Oh, who's that? Crow, how are you? I don't get. plums, though they're like a big grape. Yep, they are. And my grapes this year out here, holy mackerel, they're this big around. And they're muscadines, and they are thick too. It's I hope I hope it doesn't dry up before they're ripe. They got another 2 or 3 weeks at least before they start turning colors. But man, I got this vine out over here. I'll have to do a video to show it off. But oh man, them they call them bulluses, but the old timers, and that they get great big, this big around and purple, dark purple, and they got a thick skin on them and a seed on the inside. So you don't bite all the way through them. You kind of bite along the edge, and then you can separate the seed in your mouth and kind of suck the juice to one side and then spit out the seeds. It's an acquired. You have to learn how to do that. In my alter ego, I have to know how to suck the pits out of a, you know. But it's another learned thing, and eat them every year, and it's like you learn how to squeeze them out under your tongue and 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 get the meat out of them. And I don't have teeth, but gnawing on the grape skin to me is like a lot of it's like chewing gum. But you know, almost every part of the grapevine is has some medicinal value or edible value or whatever. You know, a lot of people don't know, but if you cut a a grapevine in the right place, it will drip water, and you could put a cup under it and get grape juice water out of a vine. And but you cut that vine and let both sides drip into a container, and there you go. So as long as you have vines, like I got a bunch of vines on my property, uh, I might not, if anything ever happens to where I don't have drinking water, I will always have water. I will always have a liquid sustenance by utilizing the many, 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 many vines. So, but anyway, so back to the mirrors. So, you look at yourself in the mirror and you think you look pretty good. You got a t-shirt on. You're just going to bum around for the day and go outside, maybe walk around a little bit. Or I don't have a neighborhood, but I do. So I might, go walking in the neighborhood, or I got my scooter out there. Oh crap! I need to put the scooter up, by the way. So I might want to go take a little ride on the scooter up the hill and up the road, and just go right up the neighborhood a little bit on the road, or go down the hill to the bridge, and mess around down there at the bridge, and then truck myself back up here. So I can still go visit in the neighborhood, right? Well, the person that goes visit in the neighborhood is just me. I mean, I literally don't do anything. I just go out and get on the scooter and down the road I go. So I haven't looked in the mirror. I haven't checked my alter ego. Whoever is sitting on the scooter is me. By not looking in the mirror and seeing Dave or Hawkeye, and my brain not having the opportunity to judge this face, this person, to the picture in my head, to where standing in front of the mirror, I'm going to have to make arrangements to bring my alter ego out. Now I have to become Jungle Jim to go out and ride on the scooter up the property across the yard and, I got to be a Tarzan, you know. Um, but I don't. I just go out and get on it because I'm comfortable around the house. So it's because I have not looked in the mirror. I have not made that exchange. I'm still me. So, in order to see the true you, is to not look in the mirror at all, but to be and honest and brutally honest with yourself about subjects that pertain to you, like, um, do you really hate rutabagas, Dave? Yes, sir. I, I, I hate rutabagas. But now, are you sure, Dave, that you maybe it's that you just don't like them much? No, sir. No, sir. I hate rutabagas. I'm sorry. I don't like them, but I hate rutabagas. Now, Mister No, if all you had to eat was rutabagas, what do you think would happen? I'd starve. I'd just have to. I'd starve. I'd lose a lot of weight because I hate rutabagas. So we put you on a diet of frog legs and rutabagas. Have you heard the frog? So is that F Kitty? Hey, what's up? So it's like, so the true me comes out when I say I hate rutabagas, right? It's not a facade. I don't have to go in front of the mirror to have a chat with my alter ego to find out whether or not I truly hate rutabagas, right? Now, maybe with some sugar and cinnamon on them, I don't know. But the way I've had rutabagas presented to me to eat, nah, don't want them. I am not going to volunteer like, hey, let's buy a bunch of rutabagas tonight and have some rutabagas. Man, that is not going to be me, right? So, but in the mirror, so there are certain things you need to go to the mirror for. You need to check on yourself. I'm using myself as the example as usual, but um, in my 72 years, there have been periods of time where I was very weak and not confident at all, and I suffered from a deep bouts of depression, many suicidal thoughts, to the point where I just, I was going to end it all, and that was going to be it. So, but I didn't go there, although I tried several times. After all these years and everything, it's like no matter how bad the life is, there's still tomorrow. And if you don't make it to tomorrow, you don't have to worry about it because you ain't here. But anyway, so the mirror, it's important to check yourself out in the mirror once in a while. And I mean deeply. Look in the mirror, and I mean look deep. Where's the, oh, there's the camera. Look deep in your eyes in the camera. Stand comfortable. This is part of scrying kind of thing. Look deep into your own eyes and stare not at you, but at your eyes. And meditate on that for a couple of minutes and see where that puts your brain. Because the several times over the years that I've done that, I've had different outcomes. Like, I want to stare at myself because I've got something that's in my head. I want to make sure that it's the right thing to do, right? I want to make sure that, that allowing my beard to keep growing is the right thing to do, right? So I'm standing in front of the mirror and I look at myself and I look in my eyes and I focus there and I meditate on there. Should I cut my beard? Should I let it grow? Should I, paint it purple? Should I? But so but in that you're checking in with your alter ego, which means you're checking in with your deep own consciousness. And that's important that you check in every once in a while because people will ignore their own consciousness, right? So, what good is looking in the mirror? Exactly what I just said. You can do a checkup on your own consciousness. You look at that person in the mirror, which is you, and you go, hey, are you aware of what you're doing? Go back through some of the stuff that went through the day, and there's been some times where I have call it daydreaming. I don't know. It seems like I'm here. Um, I guess I'm awake, but I've had a dream while I'm sitting here watching something on YouTube. Something maybe has triggered me, and there's a whole there's a whole scenario playing in the background in my head. So it's like um sitting on a sitting on a park bench, buying little girls with bad intent. Hey, hey, Aqualung. So, it's like, well, not eyeing little girls, but, sitting on the park bench, looking across the park and people playing frisbee, and I can see it and like almost see it, but it's in my mind's eye, but I'm still watching this documentary, about butterflies on YouTube, right? So it's like, how can those things happen at the exact same time? Where, the documentary about butterflies is here and in the present, whereas this sitting on a park bench watching the ducks in the pond is something that seems like it's going on. It feels like it's me sitting on the park bench in real time. So sometimes you got to look in the mirror to check out to see if it's the real one staring back at you. That you haven't traded places with another alter ego in another scenario that may be happening at the same time. What? Yeah, because we with the lifting of the veil, we are having overlaps of timelines. So for me, I'm in another lifetime in my alter ego. I'm sitting on a park bench throwing popcorn to the ducks. And in this timeline, I'm sitting here watching a documentary on butterflies at the same time. They're both occurring at the same time. My brain has shifted somehow, and my reality is, you know, I'm I'm not moving my hands, but in my mind's eye, I'm chunking popcorn to the ducks, right? But the butterflies look really cool on that documentary. How can those two things happen at the same time? It's part of the alter ego thing looking in the mirror. Because how can that person in the mirror exist at the same time as the person who is the alter ego? And you go, wait a minute, the alter ego. Meaning, here's the picture of me that I'm trying to become by putting on makeup and combing my hair, and this is who I'm trying to look like. All right. That's the picture in my head. It's the snapshot. And I'm doing my best. I'm calm. I'm looking, and then dun da da dun. I can match the picture with the person in the mirror, and I've achieved that. So now I have become the picture. I have become the alter ego. I have become this other self. Well, all I did was comb my hair and do. I know. It's not like you tried, but you did. So the alter of yourself is still in the mirror. Wait a minute. It is. It's still in the mirror because the only way you can see it is to look in the mirror. So does that mean that my alter ego is trapped inside the mirror? No, that's not what I mean. But your alter ego, that picture of you, and in different scenarios, what you look like going out to dinner, what you look like going to the beach, what you look like going mountain climbing, what you like going putting on your PJs and going to sleep. It's the individual time zones of things. Each one of them is a part of you, but when you put your PJs on, you act a certain way. So that's part of a persona of you. That's one of your alter egos. You're dressed and in your PJs, you know, or you're butt naked. One or the other, right? So I sleep topless, um, not really, but so each one of these partners that you share with the mirror is like, so you go to the magic mirror and you go, all right, I'm getting ready for bed. So then your brain is already in, I'm going to go to bed now scenario. So then the picture in your head of what you and your scenario of getting ready for bed looks like, that picture comes out, right? So now you look at that picture and go, I'm getting ready for bed. So the person in the mirror has to look like the picture of me going to bed. That's another alter ego. That's another one of you. It's another persona. It's another part of your brain because you're matching your clothes, you're matching your outfit to what you're going to do or what you're going to be. I'm going to be sleepy in a minute and I'm going to bed. I know, but you're still June Lockhart at 100 years old. But um, but when you change clothes, go to bed, you're in the go to sleep mode. It's not the same as get up and let's go, dig holes in the yard mode. It's not the same, but it's still you. I know, but I'm fixed to go to sleep now, and these are my PJs. But I'm not going to wear my PJs in the morning when I wake up to go out and put in fence posts. No. Oh, so now when I wake up in the morning with my PJs on, I got to go look in the mirror and I got to check with my alter ego. And I see myself as hair messed up, PJs on. I'm coming out of the PJ mode. And now I have to get ready to go put in fence posts because the two are different. It's the same you, but the pictures are different in your head. The persona that you are now to go out and put in fence posts is not the same that was going to sleep. Alter ego. The mirror effect. So the mirror shows us who we are in all different kinds of scenarios. So if you want to talk to go to sleep, Dave, then before I go to sleep, I have a staring contest with myself in my PJs. So, what does going to sleep, Dave, mean? What is my perception of going to sleep, Dave? Am I going to have nightmares or Am I going to think positive thoughts and I'm going to have sweet dreams? Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? I travel the world. Okay, enough of that. But so what we change, right? So what we alter. So you look at yourself in the mirror and go, I'm going to have good dreams tonight. I'm going to dream of, grape jelly and peanut butter and and we're going to have a fine picnic. Okay. So you get up in the morning and then you change. Hey, Miss Sheila, what you doing? There's my next door neighbor, Miss Sheila there. So, but every time you look in the mirror, well, I'm just, checking myself, put on a little lipstick, I'm going out into the public and I just want I don't have to look perfect, but I want to look clean and sharp, so you're putting on that persona. Don't argue with me. You are, you know, and it's not a big deal. I'm not trying to say you can't do it or you shouldn't, but being brutally honest with yourself means that when you look in the mirror, you understand that you're if you go messing with your hair or whatever, you're trying to look like somebody else. You're trying to look like your alter ego because your brain says, "Oh man, your hair's all messed up. Comb it out." And then when you comb it out, you go, "Oh, that looks nice," and you fit the picture, and now you have stepped into your alter ego. No, I haven't. You got to be brutally honest. Yes, you have. And my point about this is that when you learn that, well, I just stepped into my engineering mode. I'm going to go and meet some people at the library and we're going to discuss making a something, a catapult. And we want to see if we can build it out of timbers and maybe, use some of the trees and pine trees at my house to build this catapult. You know, um, so I have put on my ranger, my engineering t-shirt or shirt. Maybe it's a button down. It's got a pocket for pencils and notes and things, and my cigarettes, of course. So, but if I'm just staying at the house and watching whatever or going outside and mowing some lawn, I don't have to do that, right? I don't have to look any particular way at all. Who is that? What? Come back here. Kevin, is that right? Kevin, you ever had an existential crisis? A bunch of them. I'm having one at the moment, and I was like, oh, and here I am. Yep, it is Tuesday. Yep. Is it the Matrix? I don't like the way the movie portrays the Matrix as a digital bunch of ones and zeros. But I see and feel that the Matrix is absolutely within the quantum field, or Our energies interacting in the quantum, absolutely, right now. You wondered whether or not I was on, and lo and behold, dun, da, da, dum, here I am, right? So that's existing in the quantum reality, in my humble opinion, of space time. Okay, and here's something about space time. Time on this planet is only relative to this planet, not to anything else in the universe. The 24-hour shift of planet Earth is only good on planet Earth. It doesn't work anywhere else in the universe. The 12 hours, 24-hour shift thingy, it does not work anywhere else. So, therefore, our time, keyword here, our timeline is different from anybody else in the universe. Hawkeye, what are you talking about? The time, because it's on a 24 ship timeline, the amount of time it takes to go down the line. Well, that sounds stupid. No, here's a line and it takes 24 hours to get down it. Timeline. Well, on Jupiter, one day is one revolution of the planet. It's, I don't know, I'm just making this up. It's 500 Earth hours, but it's only 30 hours on Jupiter. I'm making this up, okay? But I mean from a timeline. So the timeline of Earth is different than the timeline of Jupiter or the timeline of any other planet or any other spot. Our time, and thus our timeline, only exists on Earth. It doesn't exist on Jupiter because then it would be Jupiter's timeline. It's or Saturn's timeline, or you know what I mean. So the timeline people talk about is only relative to the planet Earth. And how do I know that? By looking in the mirror. Because there are certain things that you will automatically go, ding, do that thing looking at yourself in the eyeballs, asking the question to the universe. You want to know about your Akashic record? Look at yourself in a mirror. Do some mirror scrying. Skrying, some scrying. So, but also, if you do it correctly, you'll be able to see right into your psychic, right into your brain. When you get in that deep, it's creepy. It's creepy. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's creepy. But you will learn a lot. And so, one of the things in learning to be honest and to be, which means being truthful, right? So, when you're truthful to yourself, it's like, that shit scares me. Oh, fear is a natural reaction to go and, look inside your brain, to look in the mirror, to see inside of you, to look into your chakra, to look into your heart center, to look into, using the mirror to poke around in the universe. And what it is you being able to use your own brain and your own brain power and your own ego in order to facilitate that which you were trying to do. What? yeah, you're trying to look inside yourself and find out more about yourself. You're trying to find out more about the universe. And as a shaman in training, you're looking for clues to the universe, and um, am I being honest with myself? Um, you know, um, do I really like, you know, Miss Sheila's baked beans, and do I really like my neighbor's baked beans, and wait a minute, and that back strap that that was brought to me at one time, do I really like Miss Sheila's cooking, yeah, I can look at myself in the mirror and go, you damn right, buddy, I love Miss Sheila's cooking, you know so and that's honesty, right? That's being truthful and honest. And so when you're truthful and honest about that, then anytime the subject of deer comes up, you think, oh, Miss Sheila, my neighbor, she cooks a hell of a backstrap, but anyway, what's that got to do with it? Because when you look in the mirror, you can reference things. Go in to use the toilet, and you're in there and you're thinking, man, baked beans, and with some pieces of bacon on top, and sure enough, baked in the oven baked beans, and oh my goodness, you take them out, and you eat those, and it's like, beans, the music of fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. So let's have beans at every meal. So but of course they're going to make you feel. Of course, when you look in the mirror, that you go, but them some damn good baked beans, and you go, and you make look in the mirror, and like if you've been in a restaurant and you've had something yummy, and you're standing in there, and you had to take a wee, and you're standing there fixing yourself up and washing your hands, getting ready to go back out, finish your meal, and you look in the mirror and you go, yeah, there was some damn good baked beans right there now. There's some good baked beans. And you're being honest with yourself, and you go back out and you finish eating your baked beans. What has that got to do with it? Because you will check yourself in front of the mirror. You will make sure, and you will um, I'm looking for a word. Support your idea that Miss Sheila's baked beans are and so it's a follow up. Yeah, she has good baked beans. Yeah, and I can't wait to have. And yeah, the baby. So the subject of baked beans is in that little short period of time, or that you had this wonderful something to eat, and you're looking in the mirror, and you're just washing your hands, and you look in the mirror and you're doing it. Man, that was good. So you're checking with yourself. You're checking with your alter ego. Them was some good baked beans. No, I'm not. Yeah, you was looking in the mirror, and I could see you was picking your teeth and washing your hands, and then you went back out there. But yeah, you were checking with your alter ego. You were checking with yourself in the mirror. Well, you say, yeah, but the mirror was right there. I couldn't help but check in the mirror, right? Because I washed my hands, and the mirror was right there. Yeah, I know, but you were looking at it and doing your with your teeth and all, and so guess what? You were checking in with your alter ego. Don't lie. That's the part of being honest. Now, there's nothing wrong with that unless you're checking in with your alter ego, with yourself, because you are full of yourself. You are a narcissistic piece of crud. Crumb. Crumb. So that's the other thing. Are you being honest with yourself? Are you being narcissistic in your behavior? Are you telling everybody else to go to hell because you know what you're doing, and you have all the answers, and you looked at yourself in the mirror and you're the perfect individual. Raspberries, right? So, looking in the mirror on the shaman journey. Now, looking in the mirror, other people just don't give a shit, right? But in the shaman's understanding, looking in the mirror at self, okay? Now, here's the thing, on the shaman journey, one learns how to leave the mirror behind. Hawkeye, what the hell are you talking about now? When you have looked in the mirror enough over the years, then you don't actually, in order for you to look in the mirror at yourself, because you've had practice looking in a real mirror, all you have to do is picture that mirror in your mind and take a look at yourself. If you're doing that, looking inside yourself to make sure you got, you're, something happened the other day and you just need to mull over what happened, you know? Something happened and it's something, and you had to interact with somebody and it wasn't bad, but you just is like, well, that was a weird situation, and I helped this person out, and that was weird how that happened, but okay, and so you want to have a chat with the alter ego. Well, you're lying in bed, and you can pretend there's a mirror on the ceiling if you don't already have one. So you're lying there with a pretend mirror above you, looking at it, because the picture of you is in your mind's eye. You ain't got to go anywhere. Who is that? Does that say Tracy? My eyes are still getting adjusted to my cataract removal. Blessings to you. Oh, thank you, F Kitty. You put it in capital letters. Tanja. Greetings and blessings this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are. Oh, Mary Wins. Hi, how are you? There are some things that, I can see everything is much brighter. But man, I'll tell you, trying to focus a lot of times here lately is like, it's been weird. It's been weird. The other night I went outside. Me and Duggar go outside to pee, and I'm looking up at the moon, and there was two of them. There was two of them. And I closed one eye, there was still two of them. I closed the other eye, and there was still two of them. So whatever was going on the other night was, you know, my eyes have still not quite adjusted to their new lenses. So, but anyway, to the mirror of self, So when you have looked in the mirror after, so this is where you're making progress as a shaman in training. How's that, Dave? Well, because you can picture the mirror in your brain, which is where the picture of you exists to begin with, before you start comparing it with the mirror, right? So you've already got a picture that is going to be looked at in the mirror or matched with the mirror with the help of the mirror. So that already gives you insight into the self. Well, I want to be honest. Do I really like my beard this long? Yeah, I'm about 50-50 on it. But my dear friend Miss Emma was here today and I was talking about it. She was like, "It looks cool, Mr. Dave." And I was like, "Shit. Why didn't you tell me to cut it?" I was like, you could have said it looks like hell, Mr. Dave. You ought to cut it off. No, it's like, oh, it looks cool, Mr. Dave. You know, oh, crap. Now I guess I'm going to have to keep it a little longer, right? But to the point, though, it's like I'm starting to feel like Fu Manchu. It's like, it's really getting long. But anyway, so when I look in the mirror now, my alter ego goes, damn, your beard's getting long. So from here up, beard, I've had a beard for years off and on, right? So from here up, without this dangly thing under my chin, I look sort of normal, right? But then this happens, and I see the rest of my beard, and I go, oh, so it changes the alter ego, what I think I look like and what I actually look like, right? Those two things. My pictures, I've not upgraded the picture in my head. So, but people in this world, they say, well, there's nothing wrong with me. I didn't do anything wrong. That argument between me and Miss Sally over there, she was in the wrong the whole time. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure that the argument you had with Miss Sally over there, that you had nothing to do with? You you weren't at fault in any way. You didn't say anything wrong. The fight between you and Miss Sally, it was all her fault, and you're just standing there. You don't have nothing to feel guilty about or nothing. She's the one at fault, right? Well, there was this, and before we sat down at the table, and there was a thing, and I didn't think she'd get mad at that. So when you're honest with yourself, with the alter ego of you come to find out that maybe you did say something to Miss Sally, and you kind of noticed that she was in a bad mood, and rather than comfort her, you egged her on. You know, so you say, "Well, I didn't do anything wrong." Yeah, you did. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. No, I did not do. Okay, so go home and stare in the mirror, and tell me that you're happy. You go home and look at yourself in the mirror, and look hard, and look with trust and honesty. You're not guilty of anything with the argument with Miss Sally. I'm going home. I know perfectly well. And then they get home and they look in the mirror and go, if they're honest, they go, well, I did notice she was in a cranky mood. And I did spout off something, about her car. And I did, make remarks about the streaks in her makeup when I knew she'd been outside in her car crying, and so I made fun of her makeup and didn't offer to help her. I didn't give her a tissue or anything. I just and then the argument started, and and of course I was in the right, wrong, because you already knew all these things ahead of time about Sally. Your brain had already, you know, looked in the mirror, if you will, and said, here are the things that are going on. And then by looking at yourself in the mirror in your head, you denied yourself the truth. What do you mean? Okay. The truth is you should have talked with Miss Sally and given her a tissue because she was outside in her car crying. Should have noticed it, should have picked it up. You should have done something about it in a positive way. Instead, you ended up in an argument with a good friend of yours, Miss Sally. So shame on you. So I've known people, many people over the many years, right? And I've observed people. So, like my one wife, she was working in a spot, and I was waiting on her to get off work, and so I was standing in the back of the room there, and I don't think she knew I was there. In fact, I'm sure she didn't know because I'd slipped in. I knew the second shift manager, that the mechanic. Anyway, I'm standing there, and so I'm wanting. There it was sewing machine operators. So they're sawing. They got about 30 minutes left. So they got to finish up the little batch they got so they can get credit for it, and they got to clean up their little workstation, and they've got to do whatever little close down maintenance to their sewing machine, right? And so as she's doing this, um, she finds this piece of paper down on her side underneath her machine. So she picks it up, and whether on purpose or not, well, it was on purpose, but I mean, on purpose or not to make her piss off her neighbor, she throws it at the lady next to her. And as the lady turns to look over at her, it hits her in the face and right in the eye, right? And so now, Lady B is is like, "Ow, you just hit me in the eye." And so Cheryl was like, "Well, ha ha ha, and you should have ducked, or you should have, think fast. And so it's like, but Lady B did not take kindly to that. It was a joke, right? So, but it as the bell rang and they went to clock out. Now there's kind of pushing in line, and Lady B is like, giving her a shove and, hey, get out of my way and let me do it, and my old ex old lady is going, hey, wait a minute now, you don't need to act like that. Well, who's let's be honest, who started the thing? My ex old lady. And so when I confront her, she goes, well, yeah, but Miss B didn't have to act that way. So my ex tossed a piece of paper, hit Lady B in the eye. I was just a piece of paper. It was just a paper ball, but it pissed her off. So now she's pissed off and passes it over here. So my ex old lady can't look at herself in the mirror, to be honest, because all she did was throw a wad of paper. It was all in fun. But now Miss B, who got hit in the eye and got sort of like a pink eye, it hit her right in the corner of her eye and needed eye drops like I need my eye drops now. It's time for my eye drops. But so now my ex is convinced that the argument stuff started after she threw the paper. That throwing the paper was not really part of the argument at all. Not that what started it, not what got Miss B sort of upset to begin with, that started the argument at the time clock, you see. So she didn't do anything to Miss B. Yeah, you did. Just toss a piece of paper at her. Well, you pissed her off. Did you apologize? No, you made fun. And then when you went over to the time clock, Miss B was still pissed. And you say, well, I didn't do anything to instigate that argument. It was all Miss B's fault. No, it wasn't. Look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. You tossed the paper, which pissed Miss B off. Yeah, but that was a separate incident. That was over there by our machines. Right. That then the two of you, like a minute later, went over to the time clock to check out. Like a minute later, did you hear me? A minute later. So Miss B, a minute later, she still remembers that you just threw that piece of paper and hit her in the eye. Her eye still hurts. It's still watering. And you say, well, that didn't have nothing to do with it. And now that she's pushing and shoving at the time clock, and then the manager comes out and once, I mean, you say, well, it was her fault. She started it. No, she didn't. You did. You have to look in that mirror. You have to look inside yourself and be honest. Well, I didn't start anything. Yeah, you did. But here's the thing. So by looking at yourself in the mirror, what good is it, right? You can maybe see if you do something like that in fun. I just tossed this piece of paper at my next door neighbor in the sewing machine factory. We'd been sewing, side by side for years, and I just tossed this piece of paper. But you hurt her. You hit her in the eye, and that piece of paper caught her just right. The first thing you should have done was said, I'm sorry. I apologize. Here, let me get you. Can I get you something? Right? So that would have eliminated any argument that y'all might have got into at the water fountain or over at the time clock. There wouldn't have been no pushing and shoving because you would have fixed the issue at the point at which you started it. Now, it might not have been you, it might have been her that started it. The point is, though, we have the opportunity to look at this timeline and say, I know it's after the fact, but what could I have done to have made that situation better? Well, yeah, here's a timeline, and I'm not looking at myself in the mirror. I'm not being honest. Well, okay, so why go through this exercise? It's so you don't do it again, so you don't repeat that. So the next time you have a little kerfuffle and you're throwing a piece of paper and you're tossing around, all in fun, but that something happens and it angers a person or it triggers them, you need to automatically see it because you looked at yourself in the mirror. You've had conversation with your alter ego. And with your alter ego, you have decided, I don't want to have conflict anymore like this. So I have looked at myself in the mirror and I have talked with myself eye to eye, and I realize that this situation is different but similar. I realize that I need to say, oh, I'm sorry, can I help you? As a way to immediately take the fire out of a situation, to draw down the fire, to smother it right away, to do something very simple by showing compassion to the other person right away. And is there anything I can do by offering assistance? And you started it. So if you did, if that ball of paper, that paper wad just landed in the other person's lap, they might have tossed it back at you. But this particular time, it hit Miss BB in the eye. That's the difference. And you say, well, I didn't do anything different. Yeah, you did. The situation changed. So as I pulled cards tonight, um, it was that we need to be observant with all things. Hawk is the messenger, and Hawk was in there, leaving the message. But so was Eagle, which is to be observant, to pay attention. And wait, what? Dave, you're awesome, man. Thank you. Oh, you must be talking about a different Dave. I don't even know Gorman. Okay, you must be talking to somebody in the chat. But so anyway, in the shaman line of things, to learn about the universe, you honestly have to first learn about yourself. And you have to be honest. And so, if you're Catholic, okay, which I was, you have to be honest. Why? Well, because if you were mean to somebody or cut somebody off or did something to somebody, you need to go to confession before you can receive Holy Communion. Because that thing that which you need to um, confess is a sort of a dark stain on your soul, right? So, in order to have the Eucharist and chomp on it, you have to have all smudges removed. So, therefore, you must go to confession. But so, in going to confession, you have to be honest with yourself. Did you commit any sins last week? Well, I cursed the neighbor out for being a sumbitch. That's one. Now, that's a minor sin, but it is one. It's just part of your soul's got a little shading on the side over here, but it is one. Being mean to somebody, that's not nice. So, but then there's the person who says, "So I yelled at him, big deal. He had it coming." They don't think it's a sin, so they don't report it as a sin because that old man had it coming. So is is Joe over there being perfectly honest? Or is Joe making up excuses? He had it coming. I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, but you lost your temper. You hollered at him. You screamed at him. You was ready to chunk something at him. Yeah, that old man had it coming. So that gives you the right. So therefore, it's not a tiny little venial sin, then, is it? Nah, that Bobo had it coming. If he does it again, I'll do it again. Oh, so you plan on retribution if it so happens that he does that same. Oh, so even if you asked for forgiveness, you're willing to go do it again and commit the same act again. Yep. Oh, so is that being totally honest with yourself? Well, he had it coming. Versus, hey man, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have hollered at you. I lost my temper. Can I apologize? Can I buy you a soda? How about an ice cream cone? Let's share a nutty buddy. But so in our religions, me talking about Catholic now. So in order to receive the Eucharist, a little piece of bread thingy, in order to receive the Eucharist, you're supposed to be free of any kind of sin or any kind of whatever, right? So that's the reason for going to confession. If there's some little old thing that you might have done during the week, you lost your temper and you hollered at the kids, okay, then report it. Man, I lost my temper this week and I hollered at the kids. Check. You say, well, you don't have to go to a priest to do that. What you do is you look in the mirror and you say, what did I do wrong this week? I didn't do anything wrong. Well, yeah, you did. You hollered at the kids. Yeah, but they deserved it. I'm the mother, and they're the kids, and they goddamn it, they deserved it. Yeah, but you kind of went overboard, you know. You hollered so loud and you were so mean, literally scared the shit out of little Joey over there, you know? And now he's going to be scarred for life, really, because I can see the future of his timeline. But so anyway, so is this important? Yeah. It's important that we look at ourselves correctly in the mirror. It's not to some people who are kind of, I hate to use the word demented, but it's sort of what it is. They have a demented, skewed look at what reality is, meaning what I just, the example I just gave. Well, he deserved it. Well, but so he did, you hollered and screamed at him and almost chunked a brick. And you're saying that you didn't do anything wrong. Nope. All that screaming, hollering, and almost chunked. Nope. You didn't do anything wrong. Nope. You didn't say anything wrong. Nope. And it was all the old man's fault. Yep. So that's when you have to say, hang on. So someone who is truly on the shaman's journey, on the shaman's path, trying to learn and finagle, looking at oneself in the mirror, not necessarily mirror of the soul is a different thing now. This is just watching how you interact in the matrix. What is the matrix in this instance? It is the goo that the quantum that we live in. And so that matrix is the quantum. And we interact with it instantaneously across vast distances. That's, creepy stuff at a distance. That's the quantum entanglement. So we're entangled quantumly right now because I'm yakking at y'all and I'm sort of looking at you. I can't really read the chat, but I'm looking at it and it only pops up for a second, 15 seconds maybe. I took money out that but so I made the decision that I wanted to follow the shaman path. So, in order to do so, I agreed with the universe, with the quantum matrix, that I was going to be honest from here on out, that I decided not to tell a lie, that if, and nor stretch the truth, which it's been a few years now, but I did it one time years ago, and I felt so guilty all night long that I had to do a video the next morning, kind of thing. I should have done it right then, but anyway, I had to do a video, and it was actually sort of minor what I did, but I still lied. I embellished on a story, and there was no need to embellish the story. The story was what it was, right? So anyway, but so it's up to you if you want to follow the shaman's path. So, but if you decide that that's what you want to do, then the decision to be honest has got to be the number one thing. From this point forward, I will always tell the truth. I won't fudge the truth. I won't obfuscate the truth. I won't outright lie unless it's for fun or I'm covering up somebody's birthday or, something like that. But no, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to be honest with myself, which means I'm going to be honest with everyone that I meet. Now, it doesn't mean that I have to be rude. Well, I met this guy and I told him honestly what I felt. I thought he was a big fat slob. And no, you don't do that. You might offer a, you know, um, a recipe for Weight Watcher chicken a la king or something. You don't tell him he's a big fat slob, no matter what. So you got to learn to, yep, I was just being honest, Dave. I know, but you got to learn some decorum along the way. So there's honesty and there's telling the truth, and then there's being honest. And oh, is Richard in the house? Hey, buddy. So in this mirror thing, as we're looking at ourselves, we're looking at other people too. Because it's like, so who does this person, I mean this in a nice way, who does this person think he is or she? And I mean that nicely, okay? I don't mean like, who the hell do they think they are? No, I mean, really, are they a friend of yours? Are they an acquaintance of yours? Well, Dave, what does that matter? Well, it matters a lot in how you're telling the truth. Can you accept the truth from them? Or when they talk to you about stuff, are they truthful? Do they tell the truth? So are they honest with you? Which means that if they're honest with you, then you should always be honest with them. There's reciprocal thing going on. Now, if they tell a fib once in a while, but it's just once in a while and it's corrected or something, that's okay. They're basically trying to tell the truth. So that counts, right? So, but then if somebody is just making up BS, and then what do? Do you call them on it? Can they still be your friends even though they might be calling BS? You could say, all right, Herbert, I think you're trying to give me a line of BS. And you give your friend or neighbor the opportunity to go, yeah, you're right. It is. I just made it up. It's just BS. Or they just say, no, man, that's the truth. And then you just let her slide, you know, because you're a bigger person than that. You know the truth, but you don't have to shove it down somebody else's throat, even though they're the ones that's lying to you. There are ways to get the truth out to other people without slapping them in the head, right? So, and then there's truth in that. So to um I say to become the shaman, you have to unlearn all these things. What? You have to stop being judgmental. Well, I'm not judgmental. I would never do that to anybody. You just did it. Well, what do you mean? I'm not judgmental. I don't do these things. I don't do. Calm get the knot out of your underwear. Um, that's part of being honest. Maybe in a way you really are. No, I'm not. See how defensive you are? I'm not defensive. What the hell are you talking about? Calm down there. I am calm. What? Who the hell are you? Uh, Take a volume and go sit in your chair for 30 minutes, please. Because there are some people, they doth protest too much. Well, I'm honest with myself, but I go and you go, you need to go to another mirror. You need to have a chit chat with, um, you know, because you have convinced the mirror that you are always right. What? Yep. I'm right all the time. See, I'm right about this. And I'm right about that over there too. And I'm here to tell you it's 20 after. It's a 20 time. I look at my clock and it says 7 after, but it's 20 after. I swear to God, it's 20 after. And if you don't believe me, you're the one that's not being honest with yourself. So, see there, you're the one that's fibbing. You're the one that's trying to make me look like the liar. It's a 20. It's only, 107 here, but it's a 20. So, shut up and listen to me. I know what I'm talking about because I'm always right. Have you ever had those conversations? Not necessarily with yourself, but with other people. You've heard other people talk like that. It's scary, man. It is scary. Happy 20. So, I've talked to you before about how these subjects come to me and I have to, chew on them for a couple of days or weeks or whatever. So, I've been gnawing on this subject for 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. Not like 3 months, but sort of in the background of my brain, there is this shaman training is always to look within to try to find the answers. Not because it's a narcissistic thing, because the answers are within. You hear people talk about it all the time. Oh, you want to find the answers within. Yet here's sort of the trick to this. If you have learned to be perfectly honest with yourself all the time, and you don't be telling no kind of lies or nothing or stretching no truths, you have put yourself into a mindset, sort of a purity mindset. Not that you haven't cussed, sworn, or, spouted off about stuff, but in that you have always been honest and not lied to yourself, and you followed these basic rules, right? Very simple rules. Sometimes it's difficult to keep your mouth shut when you want to yap about something, but so you learn how to do this control. Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. Who is that did that? Oh, it's the crow. Okay. So yeah, ding, shoot yourself in the foot, in the head. Yep, that's a good one. So we don't want to do that, right? So, but to be perfectly honest with yourself, with a little bit of practice, it doesn't hurt. It's like back when I was drinking and driving, there would be like, man, come on now, you can make it home all by yourself, it's only 22 miles to the house. Come on, Dave. And then you get in the car and you're trying to, they got the keys in your hand, but you can't find the ignition, and you can't, thank God for these push buttons now, I guess. But so, and you're sitting in the vehicle and you're going, I'm fired up, room, and you got the vehicle going. I can make it home, and it's all you could you can see the street going back and forth like this, and a giant monkey goes crawling across the screen, your windshield screen, and then I'm gonna drive this puppy home, and then the truth sets in, and it's no, you're not. And something causes your arm to reach over and turn off the ignition. And you're still sitting in the car going, I'm going to drive home. And you got a hold of the wheel and you're driving home and you're looking at your windscreen and you're driving home. And the next thing you know, you wake up in the morning and you're still sitting in the parking lot. But thank God you didn't try to drive home. So sometimes the truth comes out within yourself if you're honest with yourself. So honesty overrode the fact that you were drunk as hell and you had the car running and you were fixing to pull out and head down the highway when the intervention from the quantum, from the matrix, if you will, and turn the key off in your vehicle. But I'm going to drive home. Sure you are. Go ahead. Put your hands on the wheel. I have woken up with my hands on the wheel, still drunkard than snot. I'm going to drive home and wake up and go, oh, yeah, oh, I still got my hands on the wheel, like, holy crap, and it'd be 6 hours later, and you're stiff because you've been sitting in one spot. You know how, if you've ever passed out sitting up, you know what I mean? So, anyway, but that's being honest with yourself. And then after that incident, and you get out and you straighten yourself up and you're twisting and turning, and wherever you're at, you're in the parking lot from the night before, and you got to straighten your act out. So you take the mirror on the side mirror, and you look at yourself and you go, "Holy shit!" You clean your hair up and you use your finger and brush your teeth, and you do this kind of number on your face, and and women do things differently, but for us guys, it's like, oh man, the little, sometimes they don't have them, but back in the day, the little side mirror, and where you got in and you look at yourself with the rear view mirror in the vehicle, and you look and you go, holy crap, and you're doing your this and that. We've all done it, right? If you at any point, not necessarily that you've passed out in your car, but that you've used the mirror to tidy yourself up. So, you even take a mirror with you, and ladies with a little pocket mirror, so they can look beautiful wherever they go, and they can make sure that they can maintain their alter ego self through the day. It's not a bad thing. I'm not harping on folks that, but you got to be truthful, and you got to see it for what it is. No, Dave, you're wrong about all this. I'm just asking you to sit down and think about it. That's all. When you go to the mirror and you look inside and you spend 20 minutes primping, you guys, well, my hair ain't just right. I got to do this and do that. And it's like, okay. So, and then women, because I have had wives and girlfriends who spend 2 hours in front of the mirror every time to just go to the store. Every time spend 2 hours in front of the mirror to make themselves into that alter ego. So is it bad? Well, to be honest, we need to look at that alter ego and simply ask the question, do I need 2 hours with the mirror? Do I need 2 hours with the alter ego in the mirror? Or maybe it's just 30 minutes. I'd spend an hour in the bathroom, pinching pimples and stuff, and pulling hairs, and sometimes I check my butt, I'm just whatever to primp, right? So it's like after I wasn't married anymore, I didn't have to primp, and so I had a deep conversation with self, and the conversation was, look how much time you, me, meaning me, you meaning me. I'm gonna look at myself like a mirror. You in the mirror have wasted all those hours primping. I don't know what else you would have done, Dave, but you spent An hour every day primping. An hour every day primping. Every day primping back in the day. Now it was okay on the weekends, but to go to work, you primped every single day for an hour, and sometimes only 45 minutes if you had to go or you were late or something. But to the point, it was almost mandatory for me to do it. Take a shower, do this, or that. It's 2 hours. That's that's too long. No, I have not taken my medicine yet, and holy crap! Oh, I was way behind. Oh, I hit the button for the chat, and oh wow, I was way behind. No, and my eye drops are right here too. I'm fixing to let y'all go. It's been 2 hours and 25 minutes. So, but uh, the idea of the self. So the idea of honesty with it. You know. So, well, I'm 194 pounds. Last time I was weighed, right, 2 weeks ago. I'm 194 pounds. That's the truth. I have gained 10 pounds. Don't know where. I think some of it might be water, and I'm taking Lasix to do so, and peeing, But I'm not European. I'm South Georgia. Anyway, uh, so is that a 20? We're at a 20. It's close enough. So, but anyway, so you got to be truthful. If you want this to work, you got to be honest with yourself, you know? And when you're honest with yourself, you will be honest with everybody else. And you might say, well, I'm honest now. And then you go, are you sure? Well, yeah. And down deep somewhere, you will probably find that on some kind of subliminal thingy, you have slighted a friend, or you talked about somebody, or something has happened, right? Um, with you cheated somebody $10, or you, I, I was checking things out of my basket at Dollar General one day, and I had got this some big items, and I was doing this, and I was putting them in the other buggy, and me and the lady, we had a thing going on, right? And so she rings me up. I get my cigarettes, show her my license and everything. She rings me up, and out I go. And I get there and loading everything in the vehicle. And I get home and I realize that I didn't pay for the paper towels, or something slipped by and I didn't pay for a something, right? And I'm like, oh shit. Now, I did not intentionally try to steal whatever it was that I ended up with. So, but I did not lose sleep over it. Oh, you took those paper towels and you meant, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Now, if I knew about, and like there was one time, it was something like paper towels or something, something big, and I got out to the car. And I was like, I am not going back in for this. And, whatever it was. So I knew that I had gotten away with paper towels, but I was not going back in. I was tired. I was hurting. It was all I could do to stand. There was a bunch of people in the store, and I had, 2 rolls of paper towels that I didn't pay for. I am not going back in that line and try to make up for them 2 paper towels. Sorry, I got in the Jeep and came home. Right. So there are those times, and see, I'm being brutally honest. Right. Where before I'd go, Dad, paper towels. No, I paid for them, right? No, you didn't. You know you didn't. You knew you slipped it up. You know you didn't pay for them paper towels. You know, son of a bitch, I don't want to go back in there. Did you swipe them on purpose? No. It was inadvertent, absolutely. But when I got out there, I was like, oh, I didn't pay for these, some bitch. So, but anyway, there are those instances. And so honesty's like, you still got to be honest. And if you can make up for it at some point, and what I did one time uh, was I tried to pay for something, and I was like, "Ma'am, I was here a couple of days ago, and I slipped by with this stuff, and so I wanted her to ring it up, but then I was going to put it on the shelf. She, you can't do that." And I was like, "Yeah, but I got a freebie the other day, and I feel guilty. And here, bring this up, and I'm going to put it over here on the shelf. Oh, just let it go, you know, was her thing. Just let it go. Just let it slide. We let it slide. We didn't catch you or whatever. We just let it slide. It's okie dokie. And I'm like, so it was like she absolved me of any wrongdoing by let it slide. So, but anyway, so be honest. If you're gonna, if you want to be spiritual in any way, you got to be honest. I don't care what religion you're in or not in. But the bottom line, are you honest? If you are, then that means that you're trustworthy and people can trust you. And when people can trust you, that's powerful. Now, I talked about this 2 hours ago, the power thing. You can't, you know, grab it in your hand, but it's very powerful when people can trust you about anything. That trust will almost exude from you when you're honest and you're trustworthy and man, you're on your way to being a shaman because you have to have those 2 traits and you got to have them whooped to be a good shaman. You got to have those things down pat. Everything has to be honest. Everything has to be the truth as far as you know, right? You might repeat something from somebody and then find out later on that E equals MC squared is not the only thing in the universe. There's more to physics than that. But you go, wait a minute, but. So stay calm. It's all right. So, but anyway, looking in the mirror will tell you all kinds of stuff. But you have to be honest and allow the mirror to show you what. Yeah, you're looking in the mirror for 10 minutes, you're doing your hair, and you made eye contact with yourself in there. So, what was you thinking when you made eye contact with yourself? Well, I was thinking about a. Were you thinking about something? Were you concentrating on something? Did you have a problem that you were working something out? You were looking at it. You were looking at yourself, and you were thinking whatever it was, maybe even talking out loud, right? I really need to lose some weight. I really need to start exercising more. I need to be more honest with myself about this. I need to quit eating pie at 2 in the morning. I need to. So you're having these conversations with yourself to be honest and truthful. If you're being honest and truthful, I know it's a slippery slope, But in order to be religious and spiritual in any way, which is the shaman path, is to be spiritual in every way and to respect everything in the universe, plants and animals, other human beings, other things you don't even know about, respect and honor those things in the universe, which means being honest with yourself and truthful. And then you will be in harmony with the rest of the universe. Because in the quantum, honesty, being truthful, is like the key. You know, if you're a blithering idiot and always full of lies and tell stuff, then your energy in the quantum is going to look weird. So, oh, we just passed the 20. Rather be honest. Can't handle lies and liars. Yep. Thank you, Mary. And the thing is we don't have to be rude to other people to conform to our way of thinking, but we do have to be persistent and consistent. You know, if somebody's just being a dickhead, just okay. That person over there is a dickhead. Did you know that? What? Yeah. See how they're acting? They're a dickhead. So some people are dickheads and some people ain't. He's a dickhead. No big deal. What do you mean, Dave? Well, what I mean is he's a dickhead. So if you know the guy's a dickhead, you know how to react, you know not to take him serious, but he's a human being and he's not all bad, but he's basically a dickhead. So you treat him as such. And you are honest about it, at least with yourself. Don't get pissed at the guy because he's a dickhead. You won the battle. Why get mad? Because you know the guy's a dickhead, right? Well, and then there are women who can be dickheads too, or they're the C word, that rhymes with runt, you know. So, and why does that matter? Because honesty in the quantum is the connection. Honesty is that light, if you will. The truth is in the light, and the light corresponds with the quantum's energy, which is, good vibrations. Now, there's some weird vibrations in the quantum too, but I mean, so you want to catch them good vibrations in the universe, honesty, truth, and a smile, man, you're in like Flynn. You're pissing and moaning and kicking the dirt and trying to interact with the quantum. Not so much. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, I love you all. It's been 2 hours and 38 minutes, and I'm trying to stay out of them 3 hour videos, and I'm almost at it again. So, I love you all. We will talk soon. And don't feel bad about looking in the mirror. And don't hesitate to have a conversation with yourself, your alter ego. Like, so you painted yourself up and you put lipstick on and you went to town. So, how'd that feel, huh? Oh, good night, Kitty. Yeah, good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Chloe and, oh, that's Richard. Hey, Richard. I said hi earlier. And Miss F. Kitty, don't forget to clean, clear ground. Yes, ground yourself, clear yourself. But here's the thing, if you tell the truth all the time, and if you don't permit lies from yourself, Other people can tell you lies, but you don't have to accept them. So if you don't accept any lies, which means you don't accept that energy in the quantum. So if, after a while, you won't need a bunch of cleansing. Why? Because you will have stayed clear by doing the truth thing, by staying in the truth. And how do you know this, Dave? It's because all these years, I've had the opportunity to stop and look back and go, you know, I went through this and it was troubling and everything, but I maintained my decorum. I, didn't get angry. I handled myself like more than an adult, and I did this and that. And I came home and everything was groovy and I didn't bring any negative energy home with me. And I did these things and stuff. So, but then after the fact, it's like, since I didn't bring any negative energy home from this event or from these people or from this, then I don't really have to do a shitload of smudging because I didn't bring anything home with me. And just by being honest and just by being truthful and being that, being trusting, so people could trust me with stuff and we could get along. But I came home and I didn't bring anything with me. I didn't need a shitload of, ground, because I stayed grounded the whole time. Because you learn how to be practiced in your shamanism thing. You learn to be grounded all the time by staying in the truth. It ain't hard. You just stay in the truth. You stay in that mental state of knowing. And you go, what do you mean? Well, I know I'm going to tell the truth all the time. I just know it. You can push me and now I might tell a story and embellish on a story, but of things that really matter and no, I'm going to be truthful all the time. I have to. Otherwise the universe will hurt me. And it has in the past. So honor yourself. Honor all the other beings, plants and animals and rocks and trees and birds, you name it. Honor those things. And in the universe of things, offer love and devotion to the quantum universe, to the creator, to the great spirit. So love and honor from all of you, from me to all of you, and to anyone else who might watch this later on, or even go by and just read the title. Honor and glory to you all. Keep up the good work. You know, like I said, I realized sort of recently, you've been telling the truth for quite a while, Dave. Yeah, I know. I made that decision how many years ago? That I was going to straighten my shit up and I was going to make sure everything I said was truthful and everything I said was on the up and up as far as I could. And I was going to tell the truth even about some things that people would never believe. And have talked about things over the years that nobody else was talking about at the time. And shortly thereafter, they started talking about it, which is just coinky dinky. But to the point, though, so I know what I've been telling the truth about, and even things that I was a little ahead of my time on in talking about. That was even truthful. I didn't lie about those items. So it's like, now that's some shit. So the universe and my friends upstairs have helped to keep me, even with future things, at least future things for me, that even with future things that I may have discussed, they're telling me the truth, which means, as far as looking down my record of stuff, wow, that really wasn't quite right, but it was almost, is off about the size of the people or blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so, but in general, the topic was truthful. And in general, I hit the nail on the head about this, this, and this. So, and that's all good. I'm not trying to take credit for it, but it happened, which means that I foresaw some things that became true. And so, in by recognizing it, it became truthful to me. It came back on me. It's like, hey, you got that one right. Some bitch I did, didn't I? Well, that's cool. And remember that thing you talked about? Such, yeah, you got that one right too. You screwed up a little bit on the, the sideline thing, but you got most of it right. Some bitch I did. I did get it right. Wow. Well, that's, I don't win no prizes. It's okay. But looking in the mirror and seeing yourself and have a chat with that alter ego. And people will argue, it's not my alter ego. Yes, it is. And that's part of understanding the truth. Along came Mary. Was that from the association? They had a song that was something about Mary on their first album. Dresses are almost what? Um, the association was uh, a gentleman singing group. I'm not sure if they all played in the band, but they had some really good harmony back in the 60s. But anyway, so I say good morning to you all. I'm going to take my meds, and my eyes are burning. I need to take my eye drops, and I need to lay down as well. So I love you all. I do. I do. I do. And I really do continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And there's a lot in the quantum. It's a bunch of goo. And it's, the quantum entanglement. We can communicate with each other at any point, you know, through this quantum entanglement, you know. And to some people, it might look like what's in the movie, The Matrix. And I just don't, that don't seem real to me. It seems, you know, processed for a movie where the quantum entanglement, it just is. It's just there. It just happens. It just, you know, there's not like something riding down an elevator and then going through a building. No, it's just there, you know. Send a message to somebody or they send me a message or I pick up something in the ether. It's just there, you know. Timestamp instant, you know. Faster than a speeding bullet, you know. Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. The quantum, it's the quantum It's the quantum hero or the hero of the quantum. Ooh, he's there instantly. I heard you think about that. So if you think about that again, I'm going to smack you in the quantum. Don't you dare. That's a private place. I'll smack you in the quantum if I want to. So, anyway, cheers, my friends. Please be safe. Thank you for, hanging out with me. And until next time, and I know I'm going to keep doing stuff. So, hang in there with me. I'll be back. I'll be back. So, stay safe. That's the biggest thing. Stay safe and always be observant. Until next time, cheers, my friends.